Most undergraduate students are not scared of chapter 3 because it is difficult. They are scared of chapter 3 because it looks confusing. Research design here, population, sampling, sampling techniques, instrumentation, data collection, data analysis. Everything suddenly starts to look or sound so technical. But here's the truth. Chapter 3 becomes easy once you understand one simple thing. Chapter 3 is simply explaining how you carried out your research. That's all. So in this video, I will break chapter 3 down step by step in the simplest way possible so you can write it without confusing yourself. If you are a university or a college student struggling with your project work or thesis writing, this video is for you. So let's begin. The first thing we should consider is what is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called the research methodology. This chapter explains how you conducted your research, where the data came from or where you got the data from, who participated, the methods you used, and then how you analyze your findings. Think of it this way. If chapter 1 tells us what the problem is, and chapter 2 tells us what previous research said, then chapter 3 explains how did you investigate the problem, and that's simple. So the second thing is why students get confused. Most students make chapter 3 difficult because they try to memorize big academic grammars without understanding the purpose. Don't do that. Instead, ask yourself simple questions like this. Where did I conduct the research? Who did I collect the data from? How did I collect the data? Why did I choose that method? And how did I analyze the result? When you answer these questions, chapter 3 becomes more clearer and easier. So the third thing is the simple structure of chapter 3. Now let's go through the common structure. Different schools may format it differently, but generally, chapter 3 contains the first thing it contains we have what we call the research design. You have population, you have sampling, and then sampling techniques. We have research instruments or instrumentation. We have data collection procedure. We have data analysis procedure, and then we have ethical considerations. So let's simplify each one. First, research design. This simply means what approach did you use for the study? Example, we have qualitative research, quantitative research, mixed method, descriptive survey, case study, and then action research. Now, listen carefully. Do not just mention the design. Explain why you use it. Example, the descriptive survey design was used because it helped the researcher collect opinions from students effectively. Simple explanations, no unnecessary grammar. Next is population of the study. Population simply means the total group involved in your research. Example, if you are researching students' performance in a school with 500 students, then the 500 students become your population. Students usually confuse population with sample size. They are not the same. Population is equal to everybody involved, and sample is equal to smaller groups selected from the population. So this makes them different. Next, sample and sampling technique. This is where many students panic. But relax. Sample sampling means the smaller group you selected for the study. For example, out of 500 students, you selected 100 students. So that 100 students becomes your sample. Now, sampling technique means how did you selected them? Example, simple random sampling, repulsive sampling, convenience sampling. Again, do not just mention the technique. Explain why you use it. Example, repulsive sampling was used because the researcher selected participants who had knowledge about the topic, and that's all. Brief. Next, research instruments or instrumentation. Research instruments are simply the tools you use to collect your data. For example, we have questionnaires, interview guide, observation checklist, test. Students often overcomplicate this section. Just explain what tool you used, why you use the tool, and how it helps you collect the data. For example, questionnaires were used because they help gather responses from large participants within a short period, and that's simple. Next is data collection procedure. This section explains how you actually collected the data. They should sound practical and chronological. For example, the researchers sought permission, participants were informed, questionnaires were distributed, responses were collected, data was organized. Write it like explaining what happened step by step. Next is data analysis procedure. This explains how you analyze the information collected. For quantitative studies, you may use tables, percentages, charts, frequencies. For qualitative studies, you may use themes, narratives, and then explanations. Do not overcomplicate this section. Just explain the method clearly. Example, the data collected was analyzed using frequencies and percentages and presented in tables. Simple and then short. Next is ethical considerations. Many students forget this section. Ethical considerations simply mean how you protected participants during the research. Examples, seeking consent, respecting privacy, keeping information confidential, allowing voluntary participation. Even short explanations matter here. My final advice to you: if chapter 3 is confusing you right now, remember this. Stop trying to sound overly academic. Instead, imagine you are explaining your research process to someone step by step. That mindset changes everything. And remember, simplicity makes academic writing stronger. If this video helped you understand chapter 3 better, then subscribe to the channel for more simplified research and thesis tutorials for undergraduate students. And if you are currently struggling with your thesis, project work, proposal, literature review, or APA references, follow Undergraduate Research Africa for more guidance. Drop your biggest challenge in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.